And live. Hello, good afternoon. This is Cherie Tyler with the Mother's Heart Podcast coming to you this Sunday afternoon. And I am so excited today. I have a very special guest that's near and dear to my heart. She's my aunt, she's like a sister, and I'm just so happy to have her, Stephanie Phillips.
I'm happy to be
You
here.
happy to be here? Okay, so welcome. And before I forget, like, share, follow. If you know someone that would like to be on the podcast, DM us and let us know. And we would love to have you. Also, if you would like to be a sponsor, we're looking for sponsors. And yeah, so let's get into it.
Okay.
So, Aunt Stephanie, so well, you're my aunt, of course. So, how do you know me besides being my aunt? Like, let's talk about our.
Cherie's mom is my sister Gwen. She's my
Uh-huh.
second oldest. My oldest sister is Virginia, and then there's Gwen, then there's Leah, then there's me.
Yes.
So I'm the baby, and there's like 9.5 years difference between you and I.
Is it nine?
I think
9 years?
yeah, almost 10.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 10 years.
So when you turn, what will it be, 49?
Next year, me
Yeah,
and
I'll
Kim.
turn 59 in June.
In June.
Hmm.
All right. Gemini over here in the house.
Yes.
That's what's up.
Yes. As
All right.
Ashley would say.
Yes. Yes.
She would call me bipolar because I'm a Gemini.
A Gemini, those twins. But yes, Ashley is your daughter.
Yes, she's my daughter. I still say is. When she first passed, it was like, am I still a
Same
mom?
for Jim.
Do I still say, when people ask me, do you have children? I
Yeah.
say Bray, and I say, yes, I have a daughter.
Uh-huh.
But then that opens the wormer. Well, how's your daughter?
I
And
know.
then you have to go down the rabbit hole of, well,
Yeah.
she passed. Well, how did she pass?
Yeah, that's
And then the questions go on and on. So sometimes I try my best to avoid when I can, or just kind of, rush past that and change the subject so I don't have to go into the full breakdown.
I feel like I have a script like in my head now
Me
that I
too. Me
I
too.
say, for those that don't know, I kind of got nervous, but I started this podcast on behalf of my son, Jimmy Ray Mitchell, who passed away from a overdose. So I wanted to create a space where we could come on and talk about grief, healing, community, and just because there's not a lot of
No,
places
there's not.
for,
There's
people
not.
like us. And
Hmm.
so I just wanted to create a safe space for us to talk about that. So again, I thank you so much for sharing you and
I
Ashley
am
and Braylon's
honored to be
story.
here. Yes, I'm
And
very honored to be here. And I'm glad that you are doing this because you don't realize how many other people you're helping.
okay, thank you, because yeah, like I said, there wasn't other than counseling or a lot of people like they either shut down, they don't want to talk about it,
Hmm.
or it's not a lot, so that's
Hmm.
why I created this platform. But tell us about Ashley. My
Ashley was Ashley was hilarious.
put my
She
glasses on.
was fun. She was very stubborn. Stubborn Taurus. Her
She
way.
was,
She
wasn't
had
she?
her way of doing things, and she wasn't going to navigate from that.
Uh-huh.
But she was funny. She was corny. She was goofy, and I loved that about her. She was her authentic self. Um, we would have our moments, especially the teenage years.
Yes.
But she knew at the end of the day I loved her and wanted what was best for her and wanted her making good decisions.
Sure.
And as all teenagers, they're going to kind of have that rebellious side. They're going to want to explore and express life under their terms, even though they know what they've been taught. Sometimes they'll push the boundaries, but usually those morals, and everything that parents have taught them, it comes back.
Oh, for
It
sure.
comes back. And
Look, we
it's
were all
always
raised by
there.
Hazel.
Yes, it's always there, but a lot of times they're still going to test the waters. But
Oh, for
she
sure.
was a phenomenal kid, just a phenomenal kid. And not a day or moment goes by that I don't think of her, and I'm just blessed that God gave me her um, the number of years he did.
How old was
She
Ashley
was
when she
28.
passed? She was 28 when she passed.
Mhm.
Because Jim was 23.
And so and if she had lived, she would have made 29 on May 12th of 2016. So she died January 19th of 2016.
And will you tell us what happened to
Yes,
Ashley?
Ashley was diagnosed with brain cancer, a brain tumor,
Mm-hmm.
on October of 2012. I can't even remember the exact date. I just know
Mm-hmm.
it was the latter part of October. She was diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
and what happened? She had went to take Braid to get something to eat,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just a little toddler in the car with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she had taken him to get something to eat, and somehow she kept driving, and she ended up in Bonham, Texas. She got pulled over by a state trooper because I guess I don't know if she was swerving or
Right.
what have you, and she got pulled over. He saw that she had a young child in the car, and got a phone number, and Braylon's great grandmother came and got him, and they immediately took her to a hospital because
Mm-hmm.
he could tell something was not right.
Right.
And that officer, I did call. I finally got his number when
Mm-hmm.
she was in the hospital for surgery, and thanked him. We had a really good conversation, but they took her to the hospital in Bonham. After going through the emergency room, and they did a CAT scan, she had
Mm-hmm.
a brain tumor the size of a baseball,
Mm-hmm.
and it immediately need to come out. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
I had 24 hours to make this major decision.
Mm-hmm.
She was care flighted to Harris Hospital, and surgery was performed. It was one mass, one big tumor, and it was on the left side of her brain,
Mm-hmm.
and they removed it. It had one blood source. In my mind, I'm thinking it's a one and done.
Right. Right.
Everything's going to go back to normal. She'll be fine. They've gotten this. We don't know the cause of it. The
Mm-hmm.
neurologist, nobody could understand what caused her to have a brain tumor. Um, I felt that maybe either it could have been there, or maybe,
Mm-hmm.
when she started birth control, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that feeds tumors and can cause tumors to come on.
The hormones.
hmm
Yes.
I don't know if it was dormant, and
Mm-hmm.
then either during her pregnancy or before or
Mm-hmm.
puberty it started growing. We didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
She went to the doctor for everything. I always used to call her a hypochondriac because if my mother said her hip hurt, Ashley said her hip hurt, or whatever, we were always going to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
emergency room for something,
I
always,
remember.
So I couldn't understand how that was missed,
Right.
or if it had been
Mm-hmm.
there. So that's a mystery, and what gives me comfort now, I said God needed her more than I did, and I
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, they belong to Him,
Mm-hmm.
and He gave me her for 28 years,
Mm-hmm.
and her type of cancer, glioblastoma, most people don't make it 16 months tops. She was 4 years, so I know that was
Mm-hmm.
God.
Right.
Because most people don't survive brain cancer
Mm.
long term and
Right.
still be around,
Yes.
even go through a remission period. And she did for about
Cause how
nine
long? I was
months.
gonna say how long.
And behavior, you can tell with a brain tumor, you could tell things were off because she was making weird decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Conversation was sporadic,
Mm-hmm.
and encouraged her to go get checked out. We kind of went back and forth on that because she did not want to,
I remember.
because she felt, I'm just going to get bad news. We need to know what's going on, baby, because you're making,
Mm-hmm.
very irrational decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure enough, everything came back. So, 2012 was when she was diagnosed with having the brain tumor.
Mm-hmm.
She had surgery. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, she went through remission, and probably about 2014 going on 2015
Mm-hmm.
is when everything really came back, and they came back small tumors. At first when they remove it and they do the different scans, and
Mm-hmm.
there's like where they do that dye and the cast around where they had
Mm-hmm.
removed the tumor, it showed residual, activity, but it wasn't where you could say,
So
okay.
was it left from like the first surgery?
Yes,
Would you say?
but even then they said they got all of it as most as they could.
Right.
But there's always that chance that there's it could be minuscule, just really
Yeah.
tiny cancer cell that's left,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to grow. It's going to, expand. So when they started coming back, they were at the base of her brain. They were little,
Mm-hmm.
small tumors at the base of her spinal cord
Mm-hmm.
and base of her brain, and they could not. Those were inoperable, and that's when we found out those were inoperable. Went to MD Anderson, got second opinions from two other oncologists,
Mm-hmm.
other neurosurgeons, and when that neurosurgeon told me the same thing, that her doctor had said we needed to start having that conversation.
Oh wow.
That and her doctor, her oncologist here had told me the same thing, but it's just like I just I don't I this
Yeah.
can't be.
Yeah. I
This
don't
cannot
receive
be.
it.
I don't
Yeah.
receive this and I'm not accepting this.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize what it did show me is how, the brain controls every aspect
It
of your
does.
body.
Right.
And everything shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like things happened after they came back, and there were all of those smaller tumors at the base of her brain going into her spinal fluid
Mm-hmm.
column. I There was nothing that they could do, and it's just like I can't believe this. And I was angry. I was angry at everybody. I was,
Mm-hmm.
just I was like, God, I can't understand why. How
Mm-hmm.
is this happening? She was a healthy kid. I
She
mean,
was.
I don't understand, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I battled with that for probably at least that first year after she passed.
Sure.
Your faith is what gets you through, but I'm just like all those whys I didn't understand. I was angry.
Mm-hmm.
And after it came back, we went through the radiation, the chemotherapy, and you're trying to work. So luckily, family helped out with the schedule. We had a schedule going
Mm-hmm. I remember.
of who would take her to chemo and radiation. And I just appreciate all family and friends that just collectively came together to ensure that she got her treatment. And thought all of that was, and then to find out when you're hearing that from all the doctors and second
Mm-hmm.
opinions and third opinions that basically your child is going to die and
Yeah.
you need to prepare for that. That was a hard pill
Yeah.
to swallow.
Yeah.
Um, just, one minute she's talking, then next thing, no verbal,
Yeah.
she's
Do you think
nonverbal.
it was because I remember her having like a seizure,
Hmm.
and like once she had that
Yeah, the
seizure.
seizure is what really kind of took everything down. Everything went downhill very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
The Tuesday before she passed, she seized most of that day.
I
There was
remember.
one seizure that went on, it seems like forever.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave her seizure medication and all of that kind
Mm-hmm.
of slowed things down. But by then, she was on hospice, at
Mm-hmm.
that point. And everything that hospice says in that book is exactly how it
When
happened.
did hospice come in? I.
They came in, actually got on hospice, I want to say
Mm-hmm.
it was, she passed in January, so hospice had to be like around November,
Okay.
October, November. Well, November, she was talking, and I remember we
'Cause
had
that's when we had Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving at
your
my house,
house. Mm-hmm.
and she had gotten out of the hospital for another, procedure. They went
Mm-hmm.
back in and they tried to do, I think, basically some draining of fluid and,
Mm-hmm.
swelling, and it was just a nightmare. And by December, she wasn't talking,
And
you know.
when she was still talking, did she ever say anything to you about her health or well-being, or even, Mom, I'm going to be passing away. I want you to do this, or did she kind of have an idea?
She did. She,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to take care of Braylon. I want
Mm-hmm.
you to make sure Braylon is good. But it's just like she could understand me, and I would have her raise her hand or
Mm-hmm.
do some type of nonverbal,
Mm-hmm.
form of communication just to make sure that she understood what I was asking.
Mm-hmm.
But it just took her
It took her down
down so
fast. It
fast,
really
and it
did.
was like
Mm-hmm.
by November of 2015, and then by December of 2015, her speech started leaving, and then she started wobbling and wasn't
I
able to
remember.
walk. And it went from walking to wobbling to falling to not being able to walk at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just remember her being in that back bedroom was turned into just, her room
Mm-hmm.
with hospice and the bed and all of that. And when they put her on hospice, just like those people came one day, the room was one way. And when it turned into a hospital, I mean, I lost it. I went in
Yeah.
my bathroom, and I mean, I cried. I was on the floor. It was the ugly cry.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so, it was gut wrenching to
Mm-hmm.
because that was the finality of it when you knew hospice was coming,
Mm-hmm.
having
Oh yeah.
lost your mom and your mom
Yeah.
being on hospice. You knew what was coming,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and the thing about hospice, you don't know. It's just like with anything, we don't
Mm-hmm.
know the time nor the hour that God
Right.
is going to call us. we,
Right.
we just don't know. That is on him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the hospice begins to prepare you that this is final.
Mm-hmm.
There is no coming back from this.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's been 10 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and I can talk about it somewhat without getting emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's still hard. It's
Oh
still
yeah.
hard, you
Yeah.
know?
It's a new normal
Mm-hmm.
because you have to learn how to live. I was watching something on TikTok, and he was a neurosurgeon or something, and
Mm-hmm.
he said he experienced loss of a child, and he also said that your body is just it's not even the same
Mm-mm. It's
because
not.
that loss is like a part of you is
Mm-hmm.
gone as
It's
well.
gone as well. And it's like you look at life differently, you look
Mhm.
at certain things differently.
Mhm.
Um, you know, after going back to 2016, that
Mhm.
January after she passed, it's just like after the finality of everything,
Mhm.
when funerals and all of that's
Yeah.
going on, you're just overwhelmed. You're numb. You don't know what happened. You don't know what was going on
Yeah.
because unless you've been in those shoes that you're looking at your child in a
Yeah.
casket
Yeah.
and knowing that she's gone, it's like I couldn't even tell you what happened that day.
Out of body
I just
experience.
it feels like
Mhm.
I just remember being in the limousine and saying I've got to get out of these clothes, and I started taking off the jacket. I started taking off. I
Mhm.
was just hot. I
Yeah.
couldn't. And I remember Keitha got in the limo. And I mean,
Mhm.
out of nowhere, she came and got in the
Mhm.
limo, and she just held me, and I sobbed, and I was like, I just want to go home. And so she started talking to whoever,
Mhm.
get her home. And so
Mhm.
I just remember getting home, climbing in my bed,
Mhm.
and grabbing her baby picture, and I didn't want to be bothered with anybody.
Mhm. I remember.
I just
And that's
I
okay.
couldn't,
Like, yeah.
and I think because I have that people pleaser, I was wondering where everybody's going to think this. But unless
No.
people are in your shoes, you're not thinking about anything. You're just
No.
thinking about what you're going through at
You're
that
trying to
moment.
survive.
You're just trying to survive the moment,
Mhm.
and get
Yes.
home. I couldn't, everything that day is a blur to me to this
Mhm.
day, 10 days, 10 years
Yes.
later.
Yeah.
And I'm just you were just trying to just survive that
Mhm. Mhm.
day. But the real test is after. The after, it was like
Mhm.
nobody had words or anything that you could
Comfort.
hold that could really comfort you.
How do you feel about the whole it was God's will, or do you I mean, do you think that's accurate when people say that to you, or
I feel that for them to say that, I mean, it's everything is in his timing and he's in
Mhm.
control. I had no control of that
Right.
situation.
Right.
And for whatever reason, he felt he needed her,
Mhm.
and um, my faith is strong, and
Mhm.
I know it. Her being a vegetable, I wouldn't have wanted that quality of life for
Same
her.
for Jim.
I couldn't have,
Mhm.
because after she seized all day that Tuesday before she passed, and everything went downhill that week, there was no coming back from that. There was not the
Mhm.
Ashley that I knew.
Right.
It's like she was gone,
Yeah. She was just laying in
And
the
I
bed.
remember the Sunday before she did pass,
Mhm.
I I sat and talked to her, and I was reading scriptures, and I was talking about different things to her. And finally, I just told her, baby girl, it's okay.
Did you?
It's okay for you to go. Mommy is going to be okay. And
Mm-hmm.
she heard me, and she could still hear music. She could still hear you because she would still look at me.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it's like, okay.
That's when
It's like
she
she
let
was
go.
waiting on me
Right.
to make sure I was going to be okay, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And the day she passed, my friend Jackie was there with me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because we
I'm
had
glad.
just left.
You had left earlier while I had gone somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And then I also had one of the hospice where they had somebody to come and watch her for an hour. I went to go to the grocery
Mm-hmm.
store and stuff. And I couldn't even really do that with the right mind because it's just like anytime now I need to be home. I need to be
Right.
home. And so I played music. We listened to music. She was at that time Justin Bieber's album had come out,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a fan, and so I was
Mm-hmm.
playing that for her, and just telling funny stories and talking to her about Bray, and
Mm-hmm.
just wanted her to be surrounded, to know that she was loved.
Loved. Mm-hmm.
No matter what, you're loved,
Mm-hmm.
and he's gonna be okay.
Yes.
I don't know how things are gonna work
Right.
out, but
Right.
he's gonna be okay.
Yes.
And I told her I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, even though I didn't feel that I would be,
Right.
but I felt a strong sense of me is like, you're going to get through this. It's not going to happen overnight.
No.
And that's the advice anybody losing a child, it becomes your new normal. You will never get past it or get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had people say that to me, like, you're not over that by now, or you're not over,
I
people
hate
can
when
say
people
some crazy
they
stuff to
really
you
can.
when you've lost a child, when you've lost, whether it's your parent or whomever. But a child, that's harder because your body automatically goes through on May 12th. I automatically go to Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Going through the labor pains, her
Mm-hmm.
being born. Um,
I remember her being
January
born.
19th, that hits
Yeah.
differently for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because that's her death day. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one thing. You will never forget your child's birthday
Or
or
their
their death
birthday.
day,
Yeah.
ever.
Yep.
Ever. I don't care what you're doing, your body automatically goes back through that day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I thought 10 years would have made it easier, but the
Mm-hmm.
10-year anniversary it took me back all the way to the 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized, cry when you need to cry,
Mm-hmm.
express your emotion how you need to express it, but don't stay here.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest thing
That's the
after
hard
she
part.
passed.
That's the hard
I
part.
wanted to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember sitting in the floor, pills in my hand. I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to go. And God, sure as I'm talking to you, it's just like He said, stop. Just stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get you through this, but just stop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I could hear His voice booming. And I was, they always say, listen to that small, still voice,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not the way. This is not what I have for you.
Right.
Um, and I had to, in that moment, I'll never forget sitting in the corner on the floor crying,
Mm-hmm.
and finally I just laid on the floor, cried myself to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and I woke up. And when I woke up, it was like He gave me a whole different view. I can't explain it. I don't know if I blacked out. I don't know if I went to sleep to this day. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is I was sitting on the floor between my front door and that little bench that I
Mm-hmm.
have in my entryway. And I think I positioned myself there because I thought, well, if the ambulance comes, they can come in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had unlocked the door,
Mm-hmm.
and all I know is I just remember waking up, and it was just like He said, "This ain't it. This ain't it. I
Mm-hmm.
got more for you. I have something to show you, to reveal
Right.
in you." And I got up. I remember throwing the bottle of Advil or whatever it was in
Mm-hmm.
the. I had Advil and something else.
Mm-hmm.
I remember throwing that in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
I remember taking the trash out. Not. I didn't even want it in my house. I just took everything to
Mm-hmm.
like a dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back. I took a shower. I I just remember sitting and just asking him, Father, help me.
Mm-hmm.
He had me join a grief group,
Yes.
and that helped,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that helped.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was kind of like the beginning because I had close friends that would call every
Mm-hmm.
day and check on me no matter what, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just like there was this empty hole that nobody could fill,
No. No.
nobody could. It didn't matter. Virginia called me every day or and would check. I just
Mm-hmm.
and then when I was talking to her, she agreed that the grief group may be helpful because it was just like, how, and I have to look at it from other people's standpoint. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's like they just didn't know what to say and what to do.
Yeah, because I felt like that. Like, us, we would come to the house, or, it's like you don't want to over,
Hmm.
but
But
then you
it's
don't
like
want
they,
to
yeah,
under. You know what I
yes, but
mean?
it's
Like,
just like everybody. They didn't know what to do because I had to step back, and that was something else God told me. Everybody else is hurting too.
yeah,
Yes, that was your child and your hurt is different, but they're hurting too, and you can't negate that.
right.
And I had to look at it from that standpoint too, that friends, family, Bible class members,
Mm-hmm.
everyone was hurting.
Mm-hmm.
They were hurting too,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they didn't know the right thing to say. Maybe
Right.
they didn't know how to approach,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't mean that they didn't care. But it took me a long time to get to that point to
Mm-hmm.
really understand because in my mind, it was just like me against everybody.
For sure. Yeah.
That's how I felt. But I'm thankful that he got me out of that because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to burn bridges with everybody because
Yes.
you're hurt, you're angry, but those are the stages of grief, and I think I wasn't prepared to go through those stages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those you have to go through it to get to the other
You
side. There
do.
is no getting around that.
No.
And my advice to any parent losing his child is, hang on to your faith and
Mm-hmm.
just you have to really tap into that.
You do.
You have to make sure that you're strong and that you know who is ordering your steps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a month. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know when it happened, but he got it to the point where I could talk about it
Mm-hmm.
without crying.
I think it's time. I
You
think
know?
over time and giving yourself
Mhm.
grace and
Mhm.
just allowing,
Mhm.
him and just it
It
just
was
it's
about
yeah.
maybe year 3 into it,
Mhm. Yes.
and I noticed things. It wasn't as heavy
Mhm.
as a burden. It still hurt. It still hurt
Mhm.
every day, but it was something that he made it where
Mhm.
you can live with it. It's not going to be easy, but it's something you can live with.
Mhm.
And also tap into other things. If it's
Mhm.
something you enjoy doing, find a hobby,
Mhm.
find something to pour a lot of that into so that
Mhm.
you're not sitting there crying and in a corner with
Yes.
pills in your hand or what have you. You know,
I worked a lot.
and that's what I got so
Mhm.
engulfed in my students.
Mhm.
And I would stay late a lot of times grading and just
Mhm.
whatever. Sometimes I'd be at school till 8 o'clock. That wasn't healthy, but
Mhm.
it was a way I didn't want to come home to an empty house either.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's hard when that person has passed in your house,
Yes.
but I never felt fear or scared or spooky. I
Mhm.
just felt love,
Mhm.
and anybody that would come said it just feels like love in that room.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I eventually redid that whole room after hospice, repainted
Mhm.
everything, and just made it that's why it's yellow, sunshine yellow.
Mhm.
Mama was always called the sunshine lady, and yellow was her
Mhm.
color, and Ashley loved yellow roses and
Mhm.
yellow. So uh, I said, I want this room to be sunshine yellow, you know,
Mhm.
just showing just that peace.
Right. Yellow was a good color.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely for peace.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely for peace.
Yes.
Well, I want to talk about Braylon, but we
Yes.
created a slideshow, so we're gonna take a quick little break, and
Okay.
we'll finish up the interview
Okay.
and go
Thank
from
you.
there. Go from
Thank
there. Doing
you.
great. Doing great. All right. keep some Kleenex.
That
I'm
was,
about
I
to.
know. That was beautiful.
I know.
That was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love the picture of all of y'all. And the picture of Ashley in the middle. Y'all were like the five musketeers,
Yes.
you know. And even though she's not physically with us, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
she's still the musketeer. You know, she's still part of that. So
Yes.
I just miss her. And Braylon is Ashley's son. He is 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He was 6 when she passed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he went through a lot, you know,
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes, he went through a lot. And I am thankful he was, you know, able to get into counseling and
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, he still sees a counselor
Mm-hmm.
now. Um, Mr. Connie, he sees him like twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
and just it's just almost like chit chat, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you
You can
know,
talk about.
talk about school and how he's
Mm-hmm.
feeling and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. If it's something he won't share with me, share it with somebody.
Sure.
Open up to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I don't ever want it to be where you're so closed off that you don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about things because that can fester, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and lead to other, I feel, health problems and things. So,
Mm-hmm.
but he's phenomenal. He's funny. He's goofy like his mom.
He is.
He is a mess, but he you know, he played sports. He did soccer. He did track. He
Mm-hmm.
did cross country, and he was in orchestra. And at first, it's like it didn't mean anything to him. He was just like, you know, whatever with his violin. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he didn't want to practice or anything. But by the end of his 7th grade year, he got all these awards and accolades, and I was like, wow. I guess he's doing more
Right.
than just, you know, making noise. And I always think about that that is a gift that I know God gave him
Mm-hmm.
because he has a picture in his room. It's him and his pawpaw playing their guitars together.
Mm-hmm.
His Aunt Shannon had gotten him a guitar for Christmas, and he was just 3. And so Daddy had his guitar, and they're both
Yes.
having their little jam session. And I happened to capture that picture, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that is in his room. And I said, I think that's where you got the, because Daddy could play so many instruments. But moving
Mm-hmm.
forward, that violin has been his solace to get through a
Right.
lot of things. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it got to the point where I didn't have to tell him to practice anymore. He would just play. He'd be in
Mm-hmm.
his own world, like how Daddy would with the saxophone. And he just started playing. And we don't know, to this day, it makes me think, now looking at Braylon, would
Mm-hmm.
Daddy play because different emotions he was feeling? He could have missed, you know, Grandmother Carrie,
True.
just things that he's gone through as a kid. But I
Mm-hmm.
think he poured it into his
His
music.
music.
And when he was feeling certain ways,
Mm-hmm.
he just started playing for comfort, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And that didn't resonate with me until I really kind of look at Braylon when he'll just start, and when he's in his zone, it's like he's there. And the same thing with Daddy. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my gosh, that
Mm-hmm.
was his therapy.
Yes.
That was for Daddy, blowing his saxophone, blowing his trumpet, playing his guitar,
Mm-hmm.
always learning a different music or note or something, and writing his music down, you know. I just it just made me realize, after observing Braylon so many years,
Mm-hmm.
that's their therapy. That works for him.
Does he ever talk about Ashley, or does he?
He does.
Uh-huh.
I he doesn't ask a lot, but we just keep her spirit alive. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I always tell him funny things that she did, and
Because you said he was 6, right, when she passed.
mhm.
So does he remember?
Well, we talked about that. He said he remembers some things, but as he gets older,
Uh-huh.
it's not vivid to him anymore,
I
you
got you.
know, and it's
Yes.
just little pockets of
Sure.
things that he remembers about his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was messing with him. I said, "You remember when your mama used to call you hot buns?" He said, "Yes,"
He
because she
did.
used to remember she used to say hot buns, hot buns.
She did.
And so he remembered that. He laughed, or little things that she would do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he would really, kind of think about that when I'm talking to him, or her favorite snacks are the same snacks that he
Mhm.
loves.
Mhm.
The Sour Patch Kids.
Isn't that something?
Her and Jamie love Sour Patch, and Jamie to this day eats Sour Patch Kids,
Mhm.
and Braid loves Sour Patch Kids. Those are his favorite, and Skittles, and
Oh, she loves Skittles.
those
Yes.
Skittles were her jam, and so it's little things like that, and he has her mannerisms on a lot of
Yes.
things.
He does.
And when he was younger, his voice sounded so much like hers when she was younger.
Yes.
But now, of course, puberty, it changes. But
Mhm.
when he was little, he had that voice like her. It was so funny, but she had more of a Texas twang, remember, with
She
hers.
did. Ashley
So
was okay.
Ashley, she was just funny. But I do talk to him about that. Now he hasn't gone to the cemetery
Mhm.
um, in a while, and neither have I, for that matter. Um, it's been a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I mean, her niece is there, and
Mhm.
sometimes when I would go, I remember the first year, her birthday, I sat out there by myself. I had my little sandwich and lunch,
Mhm.
and I sat on a bench. It was somebody else's bench, but I sat there because she's by the water,
Mhm.
and the ducks were there, and it was this beautiful white swan that just came and just kind of stayed with me that
Mm.
whole day. That was so unique, and I know that was him showing me,
Yeah.
that peace. She's gonna be okay.
He gives us
You're gonna be
signs.
okay.
Mhm.
And that little swan would not leave me alone. I mean, it stayed there the whole time until I got ready to go. Then it flew off over on the other side of
The water.
the little pond.
Mhm.
So that was that was hard, that first birthday.
Sure.
But, and then other birthdays and Mother's Day, we've gone out. But over time, I still know that she's in my heart.
Mhm.
So I don't feel like I always have to physically go there, because she really is not there. It's just a urn in
Yeah.
there with some of her ashes,
Mhm.
you know. And I have her ashes, at home, and usually, when I travel, I take them with me, and I sprinkle them
You do?
everywhere.
Mhm.
When I went to Paisley Park, Ashley is in Prince's garden.
Yes, for y'all. Yeah. Look, my aunt is a Prince.
And Ashley hated him. And
Did
she would,
she?
yes. And so when I went
How
to
could
Paisley Park,
she?
she just like, Mom, your husband's on TV. Mom, your man is on such and such. She just knew,
What
because
is?
she just got, I don't know, she was more of a Michael Jackson fan, but she was not a Prince fan.
Listen,
And so
I was
when,
worried about you. When
and
I
so
heard the news, I'm like, let me check on her. I know
Yes,
she
I was
is.
at work that day, and
I
that was a
remember.
hard year because she died in January. Prince died in April,
April.
April 22nd. Ashley died January 19th, and George Michael died on Christmas. And I loved me some George
I
Michael.
remember.
That was too much for me at
Yeah.
that point.
Mhm.
And again, it went back to, you got to channel this
Yeah.
into something.
Yes.
You've got to stay busy. You've got to find something
Mhm.
to where you're not thinking about this, and it just consumes you.
Yeah.
And it had gotten to that point where it just consumed me.
Yeah.
And I prefer to be working or doing something,
Mhm.
just to
Stay
stay
busy.
busy, because it was just too much to bear at times.
Yeah.
And you don't want to feel like you're burdening people, with it,
Mhm.
especially the same people you confide in. I didn't want to feel like I was being a burden or getting on their nerves, or, um, like,
Yeah.
oh, she's still crying, or I don't know if they would think that, but that's how I was feeling.
And those thoughts come through your head, but you have to know when people love you, they love
Mhm,
you, good, bad, or
mhm,
indifferent. If they're really your people, you know what I
mhm.
mean?
And I
Yeah.
feel like they did. I
Right.
just kind of started isolating myself away, and then I don't know. I just kind of started doing a lot of stuff on my own,
Mhm.
traveling and just
Mhm.
different stuff, just doing it by myself. And that was a phase for a moment.
Mhm.
So it's just like different phases of grief.
Mhm.
You really can't map it out, or plan for it. It's just when it happens, and sometimes you have to navigate life differently,
You do.
and around, as with Jim, when Jim
Yes.
passed, and to this day, I cannot drive down I-35 by those hotels. I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Mhm.
And I did it one day and I broke down so bad and I said, I can never come this way on 35 again.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I was coming from, I don't know, if we were going to Austin or something, and I
Mhm.
had to navigate and go around a different, because I just couldn't deal with that little chunk.
Yeah.
I just can't. I just
Yeah.
can't do it. So I have to go around or find another detour or whatever, because it makes me angry. It hurts. And
Mhm.
same thing with Ashley's oncologist, all her doctors, I did send them nice cards and
Mhm.
thank them
Mhm.
after. Every doctor, the neurologist, the oncologist, the nurses,
Mhm.
all of them. But I cannot, for the life of me, go back into any of those.
By Harris Hospital.
hmm
Yeah.
and what happened, we say that, and then God said, I'm gonna test you. When Daddy got sick,
Mhm.
and they remember he had to do a little radiation or
I do.
whatever, and it was in that same building that Ashley
Hmm.
oncologist was in, different floor but same building. And I remember I took him twice, and I was like, I had to really give myself a pep talk, because
Mhm.
it was hard
Yeah.
going in that same building. He was just on a different
I
floor.
never knew that.
Uh-huh. And because her doctor was, I think, third floor, and his office was in a corner.
Mhm.
He was more when you came up to that second floor
Mhm.
to the left. So that was a test. But you're always going to have those, and you just, Heavenly Father, get me through it.
That's
Get
all we
me
can
through it.
do each day. I
Mm-hmm.
always say,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a day at a time, it's a
Mm-mm.
moment at a
It's a moment
time.
at a time, because I think
And
about you all the time with Jim, and that's why sometimes during the week, if you're on my mind, I'll just, hey, just checking on you. Didn't want
same.
anything, just want to
Yes.
make sure you're good,
Yeah. Yes.
and
It means a lot.
I mean, I'm always here if it's just a cry or even whatever on the phone or in person. If
Mhm.
you need to come over, whatever,
Mhm.
I'm here, because at the end of the day, we have each other,
We
you
do.
know.
We do.
And who would have thought we'd ever be part of this club,
I would have never thought.
you know?
From how we,
It's not a
grew up.
popular club to be
No,
in.
no,
It
you
really is
definitely,
not,
it's not,
It's just, we're just trying to still to this day understand it
yeah,
and get through it. And
yes.
there are some days when I could be in a really good mood and laugh and joy
Mhm.
and maybe not think about it like that.
Mhm.
And then there are days where it's where my mind is, and I'll
Same.
have to either start cleaning or start.
Because I say a song, a
Mhm.
smell,
Mhm.
like you said, not being able to drive on that part of 35 where, Jim
I just
was.
can't do
Yeah,
it.
I drive. I don't go that way that much, but
Mhm.
I
Now the
definitely.
other side, if I'm looking at the Mrs. Baird's place, that doesn't
Mhm.
bother me as much, but I
Yeah.
can't go south on
Yeah.
35 and past.
Yes.
I have to get off on McCart or something and then go around.
Yes.
Um, but I can't. And with Ashley, it were certain songs I couldn't listen to, and sometimes now, if I can't listen to it, I just change the station. Whereas before, it's like, well, no, you got to get through this. No,
No,
you
you
don't have
don't.
to.
No,
If you don't want to hear that song, you
sure
don't want to hear
don't.
that song, and it's okay.
Sure
You
is.
know. Same thing well, even when Daddy and Mama passed, there's certain
Mhm.
songs and things I can't listen to. And
Mhm.
Tamala Mann's "Take Me to the King," I don't care how beautiful that song. I can't handle it.
I understand.
I break down quickly
Yes.
with
Yeah.
that, because it
Yeah.
just takes me back to Daddy's funeral, and I
Mhm.
can't listen to that song. Mariah Carey, "You'll Always Be My Baby." That is a hard song for me to listen to,
Mhm.
because Ashley and I used to harmonize and sing that song together from when she was little,
Wow.
all the way till when and same thing, "Umbrella" with Rihanna.
Mhm.
If you listen to the words to it,
Mhm.
and we always said that was like about me and her, and I just it's just that's a hard one for me to listen
Mhm.
to. I mean, I if it's on the radio, and I usually will have to change it. Um, Brandy's "My Best Friend," that's
Mhm.
hard to, you know,
So different
and
songs.
"Missing You."
Yeah.
Um, it was somebody I was listening to that was maybe 2 days ago,
Mhm.
and it just kind of went through like they had lost somebody and listening. I had to hurry up and change the channel. I was like, I can't, I
Right.
can't.
what do you call that, self-preservation, where you
Mm-hmm.
have to,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So I would
It
look
is
at,
self-preservation because if
yeah,
not, I'm be on the side of the road boo-hooing, or I
right,
could be boo-hooing and hit somebody or something.
yeah,
I just realized I don't have to put that kind of pressure on myself
right,
to feel like, in my mind, you should be past that. You should be able to listen to this song. You should be
right,
able, or if you could be in a situation or a place or anything and it just
mhm,
becomes uncomfortable or something that triggers you,
mhm,
I have to get out of that situation,
for
you
sure.
know? And one for me is when other people start asking me a lot of questions
Like what?
about
Oh,
that maybe didn't know.
okay. Like what
Well,
happened to
yeah, what
Ashley or,
happened and how did she do this and how did, and
mhm,
finally I have to say I don't want to talk about it because it will
mhm,
send me to a place I don't want to go
yeah,
today.
yeah,
And you know, you've had some people like, unless you've walked in my shoes,
yes,
I can't stay there
yeah,
because it's not pretty for me.
right,
And I can't just stay there. So if I know something is going to kind of trigger or something, I just, you know,
mhm,
I
mhm,
have to
right. And that's okay.
you know,
Mhm,
preserve self. You know,
you
I
do.
really do. I have to think about that.
I've learned that,
Mhm.
and I actually had someone I hadn't seen in a while. For actually, she was my cosmetology teacher,
Mhm.
and I was pregnant with Jim,
Oh wow.
and I hadn't seen her in years. And actually came by the salon, and she was, asking me about, and she was like, "Hi," what she used to call him, Lil Julio,
Mhm.
and she goes, "How's Lil Julio?" And I'm
Mhm.
like, he's not here. He's passed away, you know,
Mhm.
and just it's so hard,
Mhm.
But again, I think I've almost have like a script
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
kind of helps me
Mhm.
with that,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And but it was definitely like a gut punch.
Mhm. And then too, it depends on who's asking you.
Yeah,
You know, like she genuinely
she
didn't know,
genuinely
did
didn't
not
know, but
know.
there were some
People
people
that you feel like are being, I don't know,
nosy,
I
messy,
feel like sarcastic
because
in a way. Some of them know that it hurts. Some of them it's like, just some people in the world lack empathy, period.
true,
You know, and
like the guy that came to his funeral that
you
said all that
know,
stuff. Yeah,
you know, and that's true,
yeah,
because the way he talked to you and Mike at Jim's funeral, that wasn't the place.
mhm,
It's just like, that's so
mhm.
uncouth. I
It
mean,
was
I'm just like, that was not the place.
right.
But it's just when people, I've had people that don't really know you, like even let's say when I was teaching, if it's I don't know, we could be somewhere, maybe somebody had told them, you know, hey, she lost her daughter,
Mhm.
and then they'll just start asking you a whole bunch of questions. What makes you think I want to talk about that?
Especially in this setting,
Exactly.
right?
You know, why? It's just like, but it's a lot of people do not think before they ask
They
stuff.
don't.
So it's just like, why would you, you want to almost do like I'm on 2020 and ask me and I'm at a workshop. I don't want to
Right.
talk about that.
Yes,
I
it's
don't
not
want
the
to talk
time. I'm
about it,
trying to make it through the day,
I'm
get through
just
this
trying to get
workshop.
through the day,
Right. Right.
So it's that, and I just, one thing I want to share that I hope that people get, when the saying that, be kind to others because you truly don't know what everyone's going
Ooh,
through. And
speak.
it's not because all of a sudden I'm going through something. That's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And if you do find out about someone, don't sit there and ask them 15 questions about it
Mhm.
because they may not even want to talk about that,
True.
you know? But I've had some people who were so rude to me about things, but then it was a person I taught with particularly. When my mom passed, your
Mhm.
grandmother,
Mhm.
it was like 20 questions all the time. And then when this lady lost her mom, she was one of, I forgot what, I think she was speech
Mhm.
pathologist. I mean, yeah, the speech teacher.
Mhm.
Oh, she won't talk to nobody. She didn't want anybody to say anything to her. She didn't want anybody. But my thing is, you didn't give me that same courtesy
That
or
same
respect,
grace.
that same grace at all.
Mhm. Mhm.
Instead, you started asking me all these questions, and it was
Mhm.
just like very invasive questions.
Mhm.
And finally had to just say, I don't want to talk about that.
Mhm.
We did everything we could.
Oh wow.
and that's it. But you know, that was like
Yeah.
I've had some people say some really crazy stuff to me, you
Yeah.
know,
I don't think they think, and again
and it just
until
comes out like
out.
mouth vomit. You
Yeah.
know, it just comes out like Kim will say, just mouth vomit. You
Right.
know,
Right.
and they don't think about it.
Mhm.
And I think when it happens to them, maybe it's humbling. But then I don't know. I've always been an empathetic person. If somebody lost somebody, that's
Mhm.
not the time for me to ask you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially when it just happened, and
Yes.
and you've gone back to work or you've gone back to whatever, and
Mhm.
they feel it's their right to know. Well, no, not
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah. People were calling the salon. Well, other girls that were working in the salon, wanting to know
Mhm.
what happened, and
That's just rude.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Like people, I even had people wanting me to do their hair and come to work when I,
Didn't even care. I
yeah.
had been out for 2 weeks. I got calls. Well, we need you. When are you coming back? When are you coming back? I thought I just buried my child.
Mm-hmm.
That school will go on.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids will go on. You
Mm-hmm.
know, right now my heart is not going on,
Right.
and I need time. And I feel like in a way I rushed back, but then in a way I needed to get back because I
Mm-hmm.
think had I just wallowed
Mm-hmm. It would have
in
got
that,
worse. Your
it would have
grief.
gotten worse. But
Mm-hmm.
it was just, I don't know, I didn't feel right you calling me and asking me when I'm coming back. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when I had done FMLA and there was a date, there was a timestamp on
So
when
you
I
had a
was to return.
bereavement period or
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I
Okay.
had taken off FMLA because of, when she went downhill, and I knew hospice, and
Mm-hmm.
it was hard trying to, stay up, or sometimes y'all would have to come over in the middle of the night because Ashley was still trying to get up and walk,
I
and she would
remember.
drink 20 of those Ensures, and we wouldn't know because she'd forget she drank them, and then it'd make
Mm-hmm.
her sick. And so I was having to make sure of those, or Mark would, come and
Mm-hmm.
stay at night with her or something, because it was hard trying to do that 24/7 and still go
Mm-hmm.
to work,
Yes. Yes.
so I was so thankful for friends and family and everybody that stepped in to help with Ashley. And even
Mm-hmm.
after her passing, just still being there,
Yeah.
still being there. And I mean, many of them, they still, they miss her too,
Yes. Yes.
just miss her too. And
I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions and then we're gonna
okay.
end. What What do you hope for Braylon? He will always know about Ashley.
I want Braylon to know that his mommy loved him dearly,
Mm-hmm.
that he was her baby, and that she always wants the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think she would be very pleased with him, with how he's doing, at this point in life. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think when he was really broken and sad and going through a lot of things, I think that really would have hurt her. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I was like, okay, we got to get you in some counseling. We got to
Mm-hmm.
get you, I want to make sure you're good, And I
Mm-hmm.
think right now, um, he would make her very proud. And I just always try to keep, her alive with funny stories. I tell
Mm-hmm.
about little things that she did, or
Mm-hmm.
her, like when she was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was the one time she skipped senior skip day, and they were taking a star test, and the school was calling me. I called Mark, and we were looking for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I told him that story, he was like, "Say what now?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "That's the first time she had to retake a star test. To, she had to go to summer school that summer, and so she was mad at herself, about some boy. Her boyfriend
Mm-hmm.
was a senior, but you're not a senior,
Mm-hmm.
You still need to be in class
I
trying to
remember them days.
get yourself together.
Yeah.
So little funny things like that I'll tell him, or you know how she felt her senior year is kind of like how he is now. I'm just ready to get all this over with. But
What's
I
your
told
fondest
him to,
memory?
that's what I
Is
told
that your
him.
fondest like what is your fondest memory of her?
My fondest memory of Ashley, this one is kind of a funny story.
Mm-hmm.
For those that knew Ashley, we used to call her Dr. Doolittle, because remember, she loved all animals, everything. She had she had ducks, she had a chick, she had a hamster, she had newts. Later on, she had a guinea pig, she had a cat, she had a dog. Remember, you gave her a cat for her birthday. So she loved animals. She even did like volunteered up at the vet
She
where,
did.
and she would do stuff. But this particular story, I'll never forget. It was an owl, and turned out it was a barn owl. Had laid out right in front of my hedges, in front of my window. Ashley came out and, mama, and she was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, it's a owl, and he's still alive. I'm like, how do you know that? So she had been out there investigating. Apparently, the owl had broken its wing or something
Mm-hmm.
had happened because owls are nocturnal. And I'm
Mm.
like, it's morning. Why is he out here? Because he couldn't fly. He
I
couldn't
wouldn't have
do
went up to him
anything.
anyway. Look.
And so I was like, Lord have mercy. So he was like, she was frantic. She's like, we got to do something. We got to do
Mm-hmm.
something. So here I am with kitchen gloves and a towel, wrapping this owl up. And we put it in Miko's, the cat's little
Mm-hmm.
carrier,
Mm-hmm.
and took the owl to Lucky's vet that was really down the street off Sycamore School Road at that time. And they were happy that, we rescued the owl and whatever. But I was like, what are the chances if this owl had gotten up in the car and started flying and clawed the hell out of me? What would I,
Feathers flying.
what would I, but in her mind, she was just all about
Doing
the
the.
owl.
She was.
She was all about saving the owl, and
She
that
was
was
a
it. So
humanitarian for
she
sure.
was just that humanitarian. And even after her cancer, when she did have that remission, remember, she went back to school because she wanted to go into the medical
She
field,
did.
So
She did.
I just, hate
Yes.
that didn't happen for her, but she really wanted to go in the medical field, and she said she wanted to be able to do cancer research.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I know. Well,
you
my
just,
fondest memory I'm going to share real quick, and then we're going to close. Is we were all raised together with
mm-hmm,
grandmother, our grandmother, and grandmother would always keep fruit in her bin. She
mm-hmm,
was a diabetic or
mm-hmm.
whatnot, and so I would sneak and eat it, and then I would always blame Ashley. I would get Ashley in trouble. And
Mom
she,
would be like,
yeah, she would
Ashley!
get Ashley every time, and I'd be just like, and she would tease me about that. She's
Uh-huh,
like, Cherie, you get me in trouble.
uh-huh.
But yeah, she was like a little sister,
mm-hmm.
and
She was very fond. I mean, she
yeah,
she loved you fiercely. She
I
really
loved her
did.
too. We were pregnant at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great memories. A lot of great
Mm-hmm.
memories. One last question, and then we're gonna end. If Ashley could hear you today, what would you want to say to her?
I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, and I'm proud to be your mom. I'm not going to say in past tense because I feel like you're always in my heart. You're still
Mm-hmm.
here with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I do every day, I do what I can to honor you
Mm-hmm.
and to never let your memory be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Never. I always talk, even when I talk about like family stories, I
Mm-hmm.
still include her when I'm talking about different
Same.
things. I never want it to be where, well, she's dead, she's gone, let's move
Right.
on.
Yeah.
I still want her to be a part, even though she's beyond.
Mm-hmm.
I still want her to be a part of the conversation. I still
Mm-hmm.
want her to be a part of the memories.
Mm-hmm.
I still want her to know that you were fiercely loved by
Yes,
so
ma'am.
many,
Yes, she
by
was.
so many.
Yes.
And as your mama, I miss you so much because we were just like two peas in a pod. We
Mm-hmm.
could bump heads, trust and believe, but especially those teenage years. But overall, she was a good kid.
Mm-hmm.
She was a good kid, and I miss her because even she could be 20 something and still climb in my lap.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just just a just a good kid, and
Mm-hmm.
the cancer the brain cancer
Mm-hmm.
just altered her in so many ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just wish at the end could have had just a little glimpse of
I
how
know.
she was before all of that,
Mm-hmm.
but she still remembered who I was and she knew my voice. if somebody else could come in the room, she knew, but she knew her mama's voice. And so
Absolutely.
I would, I'd come in and, even if her eyes wouldn't open, they'd move. When I'm talking to her, you could see. So I just want to tell her that mama loves you and I think about you every day.
Yeah. That's right. She's your heart.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Her mother's heart. Thank you. Another
Love you.
episode with my
Thank you
Aunt
so much.
Stephanie. And
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Love you.
Thank you. Love you too. So glad you could be here. And we may have to do a part two. And
Yes,
yeah, for sure. And
for sure. Maybe
continue.
we can include Bray.
Yes, I was going to ask you about
Mm-hmm.
that. Of course, because he's under 18, so I
Mm-hmm.
always want to make sure,
Mm-hmm.
and don't want to trigger him or
Mm-hmm.
anything. I want him to be comfortable, to come on. So
Mm-hmm.
for sure, because the boys they came on,
Yes.
so and that
Yes.
was really good to get their
Mm-hmm.
point of view on Jim. But anyway, we're gonna end the podcast. Thank you for joining the Mother's Heart again. Like, share, follow. If you would like to be a sponsor, just give us a DM, and we would love to have you. And until next time. Have a blessed Sunday. Bye.